All right, Brad, we are back. It is November already, which
That's crazy.
it's ridiculous. And I heard from somebody said the reason why time passes by so quickly when you get older is because each year is such a smaller part of your overall life every single year. So when you're a kid and you're 8, you've only, a year feels really long because you haven't been
Oh
alive
yeah.
that long. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Maybe sounds
No, I think
sounds
it's I
smart.
think it's work. Work just slowly kills us and makes time fly by. I don't know.
Yeah, but it is already November,
Yeah.
and I know you guys are a holidays family, but I don't imagine the Christmas stuff is going up anytime soon. Is that true?
We've I laugh because we've had discussions. Yesterday, I think so we have teenagers now, and so Halloween's a little different. So last night
Yes.
was a little different. I was outside with my candy chute, and we were, dropping candy to the kids' buckets and
Yeah.
everything that came through the neighborhood. And the 14-year-old was out with her friends at their house, and then the 16-year-old was here with her friends watching Dancing with the Stars, the Halloween live edition. So it was just the wife and I out in the front yard handing out
Yeah.
candy, and then afterwards we were cleaning up, and everybody had gone home, and I said, the weather's good this weekend. As you can see right now, it's not. It
No,
is
it rained.
40.
It rained here actually.
Yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
first time it's rained, I can't even remember, and it's really cold. Like it was weird.
Yeah, we're getting it now. The rain just started. It's 43 degrees. It is snowing over the pass, um, over 80, and the next 2 days are going to be like that. And then I think this weekend it clears up a little bit, maybe not. But I already told my wife. I said, because the way it is here in Reno, if you can get a good weekend and it's like 70 degrees in November, put the lights up. I'm
Yeah.
just going to put the outdoor lights up because we get 50-mile-an-hour gusts.
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
getting on a ladder on a weekend if it's gusting wind.
Oh
So if
yeah.
there's no wind this weekend and it's snowing, I'll put up the lights. No problem. As long as there's no wind. So
No,
they may be
it's
up.
really smart. It's really smart. My wife is a Christmassy person herself, though. We
There you
don't
go.
really. We have some stuff. We have a little bit of stuff there, but we don't put the whole lights around the house. Probably because I won't do it. But um, uh, I asked her. I was like, okay, so it is November. Like, what's the deal? Like when? Because what she does is it's Christmas music all the time. It's
Yes.
and then she starts this rewatch of like every Christmas movie that she can handle, and she goes through about like 15 of them before Christmas. And so I was like, so when does this start? And we've only been married for a couple years, so it's not like
Yeah.
we've been with each other forever like you guys. But she's like, come on, December 1st, like give me a little credit. And I was like, okay. So it's not like we're going to put the Christmas tree up like November 1, or some people do it after Thanksgiving as well. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
the season is coming.
it's funny because Nightmare Before Christmas, that's a big movie in our family and has been since it came out for me personally in 1993. But anything Disney and all that. But Nightmare Before Christmas is a good mix because you can put out Nightmare Before Christmas decorations
Mm-hmm.
in October and you could just leave them all through the holidays because it is a movie that's mixed between uh, Halloween and Christmas. So there's a lot of decorations that we have up for Halloween that are just staying. We don't have to move those. Some of them we are going to put away. Some other ones are just like jack-o'-lanterns and whatnot. But yeah, but I won't turn on the lights. I want to make that clear to everybody. I will put up the Christmas lights, but I will not turn them on until the day after Thanksgiving. Then they'll actually be turned on. And I think it just got an alert that Bryce Harper went yard.
Uh-oh. So
There we go. Look at
the
that.
World Series is going on. Game 3 is
Yeah.
going on as we are recording. Game 3 actually got rained out yesterday, which was unfortunate because as it gets closer to November, and we are in November, I can't imagine the weather gets any better
I don't
than
think so.
than it. And so
Not in Philly.
no, you remember we had Jarrett Seidler with us, who's
Yes.
from Baseball of America, and he was like making fun of fans who were just like complaining about some of the games and the way the playoffs are, and I was like, well, can't we like figure out a way to make sure that there's no baseball in November? Like, can't we like move things up? And he's like, well, if not for the strike, the World Series would have been over. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So
That's true.
I think that is the idea, is to make sure that the World Series doesn't go into November,
Or 154 games. How about that?
Yeah, they're not going to get those games. I think what is it? Today is what 12 years ago. Today is when the Giants beat the Rangers for the first World Series title.
Believe so. November 1st. Yeah, because I remember walking around. The kids were 4 and 2. So I remember on Halloween, there was no way I was getting away with staying at home and watching the game while my wife took the kids out. But I love Halloween anyway, so I was going out. But I had the earpiece in with the, it was 2010, so I had the earpiece with the wire going down to transistor radio in my pocket. So, or actually, I think I might have had a Microsoft Zune.
The brick.
And that had FM stations, and the Giants here in Reno for a few years, their broadcast station was actually on FM. So it was a fantastic signal. Then they went to AM. Then they went to nowhere. We don't have Giants broadcast in Reno anymore. So
that sucks. Well, now you have the MLB app if you want to listen to it. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about Aaron Judge. That's the big story out this way. We mentioned the writer in New York who had the column. I don't know if he wrote a column or if he just went on a bunch of podcasts and radio shows and stuff where he's talking about how he thinks Judge to the Giants is a done deal. And our own David B. Flemming, broadcaster extraordinaire, kind of refuted the story. And so we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about sort of the World Series so far. Only 2 games in. By next week, we'll have like the full boat. Series is split 1-1, and as Brad said, Bryce Harper just hit a 2-run homer, so the Phils are up 2-0 in Game 3 at home. I imagine the ballpark's going nuts right now.
It was insane. I have it on another screen, so we're Mac people, so I had it on another desktop. Really another screen. So I flip back and forth. Do you? And we'll talk about this in a second. So I flipped over there, and right when I got the alert, and of course there's a delay on watching it online. So as soon as I flipped it there, he the swing of the bat, drive to right center field. The place was insane. I mean, the Philly fans are insane. And as soon as that series split, then I'm sure Houston tightened up a little bit and went, oh crap, we're going to Philly for 3 games. This is going to be tough. So, yeah.
The app, the MLB Game Day app, at least on the web browser, because I have the web browser up, they were late after it didn't show that the home run happened until about 30 seconds after you told me. So something going on.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's a crazy scene. They're out of the inning and heading now to the second inning. So,
and then we'll also talk about what we are drinking. But let's start with the conversation around Aaron Judge, and also if it's not Aaron Judge, who else is out there? Alex Pavlovich just wrote an article this morning about the 2 other possibilities that could happen if it's not Judge. And I will tell you, they are not as sexy as signing Aaron Judge, but they could be helpful as well. So let's I'm going to read from, and you know what we're going to do here, because of the technology that we do have. I'm going to, at least for people who are watching us on video here, I'm going to pull up the article as I am reading from it. so they will be able to see
There
the
you go.
article as well. It is from KMBR's website. Dave Flemming says the Randy Miller report did not pass the smell test for him. And basically, okay, so I'll just read the quote. Not to say it won't happen, but this time of the year, I think so much of this stuff, and I'm not accusing anybody specifically, cough, Randy Miller, cough. But the agents are out there, and the agents are just so deliberate about who they use to float messages to get certain teams to feel that outside pressure. And so I'm not saying that, being mean to Randy Miller in any way. But that's what Dave Flemming was absolutely insinuating. I mean, you can't hide that comment by saying I'm not accusing anybody specifically when you're sort of refuting the story. And I think a lot of people thought the same way that Dave thought, which was it's too good to be true, right? It can't be this easy. It's always going to be harder. And, the Giants have finished in second place how many times now? So that's what us as the fan base, that's what we think is going to happen just instinctively. So then he said, I'm not saying the Giants aren't attracted to Aaron Judge or vice versa. I think that is definitely true, but the certainty of that report did not ring totally true to me. I'm not trying to pour cold water on everything, but I wouldn't take that one to the bank. All right. So you more so than me, are the eternal optimist when it comes to stuff like this.
Yep.
You probably, I mean, we both felt it's like, it's not going to be that easy. But do you have the same feeling that when Mr. Flemming had about this report?
No. And here's why. And here's why. Everybody right now who is not associated with the Astros or the Phillies are currently in the offseason. And those people are doing their jobs. Everybody's doing their job, right? If that's the way Flemming thinks it is going, then here's what's happening. The agent is doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
The reporter is doing his job. Dave Flemming is doing his job by kind of trying to quell it. And
reading
us
the
as
tea
fans,
leaves. Yeah,
exactly. And us as fans are doing our job by getting ridiculously overly excited about this because any nugget right now, we're going to say, yes, look, that gives us an edge. We have this little edge because it was written and, so it is written, so it shall be true. Right.
exactly.
So I think everybody's just doing their job right now in the off season. It's going to be a long off season. So strap in. It won't be as long of an off season as it was last year because of the lockout, but it's going to be a long off season. So all I can say to everybody involved in this, and I'm going to say us too, because we're the fans, keep doing your job. Because that's what we're supposed to do, man. We're supposed to see this stuff and say, well, somebody wrote it. I'm getting a little excited. But here's the thing, if you get too excited, like you said, we finished in second place in so many of these big free agent, tussles over the years. We haven't gotten the big one, I'd say,
since Barry Bonds, right?
Since Barry Bonds, really. I mean, you could probably go down the list of all the free agents we've signed and say, none of these were gigantic gets. Have we gotten some big trades? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could look at Hunter Pence. You could look at Ellis Burks. Let's go back further. Ellis Burks. That was a pretty big get. And then we got to keep him for a couple more years and he did awesome for us. But nobody, and I'm going to throw Armando Benitez out there. I mean, we don't get the big get, you know what I mean? We haven't gotten that guy since Barry Bonds. So we're hungry. We want that big get. So I'm going to see something like that. And I'm going to say, ooh, all right. We have an inside route to possibly the biggest free agent since Bryce Harper, right? I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Max Scherzer, I wouldn't even call him as big as this one because he was in his late 30s when he signed that deal with the Mets. So, I mean, this to me is the big one since Bryce Harper.
So when can all this stuff happen? It sounds like, and I'm using NBC Sports. I guess this is a Red Sox page. As soon as the MLB season ends, all players on expiring contracts become free agents, but have to wait at least 5 days before officially signing with another club. So theoretically, free agency can start next week when this World Series is over. Or
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I mean, the World Series? When is Game 7? Is Game 7 next
Well,
weekend?
I mean, we're looking at a 1-1 series. So this series could technically be over Thursday.
Thursday. Wow.
Thursday, and we're on Tuesday right now. So
Yeah.
because we've got 3 games in a row, then they push the off game or the off day, the travel day will be Friday. So then Saturday, Sunday will be games 6 and 7. We could be done Thursday, and then what did you say? 5 days after that?
5 days after you can officially sign.
5 days after that, we could be full blown. But you know how baseball works. It's not football free agency where you have the legal tampering time, and then at midnight when things kick in, 18 guys sign with different teams. That's not how baseball doesn't work that way. The way baseball's been going the last couple of years is you're going to get some signings in February. The big ones may not happen till January, February. And you remember going back to the Kurt Schilling days. Remember his deal was made over Thanksgiving dinner. So that was November. And we just don't see big names like that sign anymore before the holidays. Usually it's right after the holidays. Now guys just want to relax and spend their holidays. And then when the holidays are over, get serious about signing. But you know, the significant others and the kids, they're the ones who are like, are we still going to live in New York, or are we going to move to San Francisco? I'd like to know.
Exactly.
The sooner the better.
So I know Bonds signed early because, and
Mhm.
here's how I remember. We were at a like family reunion holiday party, and it was a couple of weeks before Christmas, and we
Yeah.
were hearing it happen on KMBR. And so officially, I just looked it up. The date they have in Google or whatever website MLB.com has is December the 6th. So Bonds signed really early compared to some of these other things. Okay, so I mean, what's the length of the contract that you think it is going to take? Because then you're just going to multiply 35 or 40 times the length to get to whatever that contract is. And
Yeah.
as you are looking at that, I'm going to look at what the top deals are right now for baseball players, just so we kind of like know what the ballpark is.
Yeah, I wanted to look. I just wanted to verify his age one more time. 30 years old.
30 years old.
He'll turn 31 right after the season starts, April 26th. And we have the World Baseball Classic, so I don't remember exactly how that's all going to play into it, timing wise.
God, I love the World Baseball Classic.
So fun, so fun. And if you've never watched the World Baseball Classic because you've been doing other things that time of year, just stop. Watch the World Baseball Classic. I mean, we've got coming up here. We've got the World Cup of soccer starting in November. First time ever it's going to be played over the holidays. This is fantastic. I don't know if you've seen the commercials with John Hamm as Santa Claus.
Mm-mm.
That's a dapper looking Santa Claus right there. But so we've got that, and then we've got the holidays, and then shortly after that we go into the World Baseball Classic, which is a highly emotional series tournament for a lot of the countries that are in it, and it is a blast to watch. I mean, it is baseball at its core. It's like watching the Little League World Series with grown-ups, and which I also really enjoy the Little League World Series as well. So
if you can go, if they're having it in your area, I went many years ago when it was here in San Francisco. It was so fun. So much fun.
Yeah,
it's just different. The different cultures, the way cultures celebrate baseball is different than the way Major League Baseball celebrates baseball. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to every time the World Baseball Classic comes around, I go, oh, I gotta buy a USA baseball hat, a
Yeah, me
fitted
too.
USA baseball hat. So I think this will be the year. I'll probably do that, get a t-shirt, support the team, go crazy, just really enjoy every single game. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, anyways, he'll be 31. It's probably going to take to get Judge. Man, it's probably going to take a 7-year deal, and that's just the number you see all the time. 7 years, so and so amount. Um, I don't. Could there be some trickery in it? Where you've got the 2-year opt out,
Hmm.
to get him to maybe do like a 5-year deal. You do a 2-year opt out, and then or he can stay in for the extra 3 years and then get. But then he's 36 when that contract
Yeah.
expires, and he could be due for another one, but he won't get as much. I
And
don't
this
know.
is
I
this is
see a
what I don't
7-year deal.
understand about baseball players, because basketball players would do like a 3 or 4 or even maybe a 2 and have an opt out, because the
Yeah.
more you hit the free agent market, the better, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
absolutely.
how it works. Baseball players, they love these long deals. So let's go back to
Unless
2000.
unless you're Lincecum.
Yeah, Lincecum, for whatever reason, yeah, I
It's
mean,
just like those 1-year deals.
probably
Yeah.
smart for a couple of years, but then not so smart after that,
No.
because then he got hurt and he wasn't good anymore. Albert Pujols, 2012, signed a 10-year deal for $240 million. The reason why I mention him is because he's age-wise kind of similar to where Judge is, and the Angels still gave him a 10-year deal, and probably regretted half of those years on that deal. Albert was
Yeah.
never the same after leaving St. Louis, and then he goes back to St. Louis, and then he's awesome again. What the hell? Joey Votto, 2014, 10 years, 225. Robinson Cano, oh man, this is another unfortunate one.
Oh god.
With the Mariners, 10 for 228. Dear
How
God.
how many of those were spent on the suspension list?
Yeah, right. But again, he was 31 at the beginning of this contract. And of course, he didn't really end up on he didn't end up lasting very long with Seattle. Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton, who I think did we finish second again in him with him?
Uh, that was the whole rumor thing kicking around, because that was a trade. First, it was going to be a trade and then a signed deal.
Right.
And I think we were rumored to be right in there, but it was never really confirmed.
Yeah,
So,
it was rumored. At least maybe Giants fans want to believe that we were in second. 13 years, $325 million contract in 2015. He was a little bit younger than Judge is now. Machado, 10 for 300. That was signed a few years ago. We get to Mike Trout, 10 for 360. That was signed in 2021. He still had 2 years left on his deal, so it was more like a 12 for 426 kind of
jeez.
deal. Corey Seager last year, 10 for 325. Lindor last year as well, 10 for 341. And Bryce Harper a couple years ago, 3 years ago, actually, 13 for 330. So his average is a little bit less than those guys. If the idea is that it's going to be, like you said, 7, maybe it's 8. I can't imagine the Giants go 10 years with this guy, but it could be what he wants, right? It looks like the average has got to be above 35, because that's kind of where the deals ended last year for these big players. Mookie signed 12 for 365 in 2021, and of course Tatis, but Tatis is so young, 14 for
Yeah.
340 in 2021. And then J-Rod just this year, 13 for 210. I don't understand why he signed that contract in the way
But
that he did.
that has some good opt outs, though, I think, right?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
8. I think it's 8. Is it 8? No, he's 5 for 90. So he's got a player option after 5. So yeah, that's really smart.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a 5 for 90 as long as he's a good baseball player. So yeah, those are the deals in which this will be sort of measured against. And if it is a 10-year deal, I'm not sure Zadie is going to go for that. I think they would go for like a 7-year deal, like you said, and average maybe 40 million just to get him to take a lesser deal. But because that's what it's going to take, right? If Judge is
Yeah.
like, nope, I want a 10-year deal, then the Giants are like, okay, well, let's go 6, and then we're gonna jack your average up so that you. But I don't know. I think it's gonna be a nice little bargain. I don't sense that Zadie's just gonna be like, brother, 10 for 400, let's go. Right? Like that's just not
Yeah.
Zadie's way of
No,
doing
no.
business.
No, absolutely not. And you nailed it, because you said if it's 10 years, then Zadie may say no. So if he's starting to look for a 10-year deal and he's going to stick with that, he's going to lose some teams. He may not get the teams that he really, really wants to secretly go to. And if the
What about the
Giants are one
Dodgers?
of those teams, the Dodgers, I mean, you may start dipping those teams out of it. The Yankees may be one of the only ones that say, yeah, 10 years, we'll do it. Or the Red Sox, because the Red Sox have given out long deals.
Yeah.
They may jump in and say, we'll do the 10 years. We'll take them off the Yankees' hands, and we'll put them in our yard. Let them just hammer home runs there,
Yeah.
and we'll be good. Um,
Okay,
but
here's a
yeah, yeah,
question, because we haven't had to think about it this way prior to this last year. With the DH, can you manage him in a way from a mileage standpoint where you can talk yourself into 10 years? Because previously in the National League, if you're going to sign a guy, he's got to play defense.
right.
Right now, the way that the league works with the DH in the National League, he doesn't have to play defense. He just has to hit. So maybe it's like let's manage him. Maybe he doesn't play 140 in the field. Maybe he plays 90 in the field, and we maneuver guys around to give him. I don't know. I can't fathom a 10-year deal. It just seems like it's you'll be lucky for half of those years to be productive, just the way that it works. Especially
Yeah.
him. Like he's had injuries in the past too. So this is going to be one fascinating thing. And for Giants fans, we have built this thing up with Judge so high. If they don't get him, there's going to be so much depression in the Bay Area. It's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It could get ugly because of articles like we were touching on earlier, where the Giants will do anything. But fans will remember that, because true or not, which it probably is not true, because we know Zadie is not the type of person to do anything and give anybody any deal that they want for them to come over. Although, is Giants management stepping in a little bit and saying, we want Judge. The coffers are wide open.
Yeah.
You do what you can and then build the team around him with the younger core coming up. But yeah, there will be an absolute revolt. But I think you can manage him with the DH. But here's the problem: he is a big dude. So just swinging the bat can pose problems on a body like that. As hard as he swings and as muscular and as huge as he is, he's got muscles to pull that we don't even have. So I mean that's part of the problem too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hitting and running the bases, you can still hurt yourself like that. He's not necessarily an injury prone dude. I wouldn't say, no more than anybody else. 10 years, man, is just it's just not something we do. And now the Phillies are up 4-0.
Bohm and Marsh just homered.
Wow, man. I got to flip it over and see this place going absolute bat snot crazy.
So I guess to put a cap on this thing, I think the MLB re-upped their TV deal for 7 years, and so you would think as long as what we see media being in 7 years, you know, your Amazon and your Apple TV and your YouTube TV, maybe like more of the I'm sure it'll be more the norm than it is today. And there
Yeah,
will
yeah.
be other new technologies that are involved in that. So the media rights are probably just going to keep going up, at least for now, because of how the competitive atmosphere for that stuff. So even, after 7 years, you go, "Okay, we're gonna get more money, so maybe the extra 3 years aren't gonna be too bad because 'cause we're gonna get a lot more money from the." So that's also another thing to think about. But last thing, okay, so I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say Giants finish 2nd. Maybe this is a little bit of a reverse jinx on my end, hoping that I'm wrong here. I think the Dodgers, I think the Yankees, I think the Red Sox, they're all going to be in that mix. But you never know because I don't think we thought the Rangers were going to get both Seager and Simeon last year, right? That was
No.
kind of a surprise. So it could be another team who is bubbling up. Maybe the Angels. I think they still have who's the third baseman that they signed to a big deal, and Rendon, who hasn't panned out. Trout is injured. You still have Otani. They're like, look, we need a guy because we want to be in the mix. Other teams could just be there. The Padres, they were so close. Let's just fork over some more money and just, let's just steal the West from the Giants and the Dodgers. I think we're going to finish. Grant Brisbie said he didn't even think the Giants were going to finish close. Like he just thought that they're going to be a little bit smarter with the money than maybe some of these other teams. So I will say we're going to finish in 2nd. What are the flip sides of that? What does that mean? We've already talked about the Trey Turner thing, but I do think we need to fix the outfield.
Yeah.
Alex Pavlovich today wrote that they could turn to Brandon Nimmo, who saved 6. I think he had like a 6 WAR in the outfield or something like that. As far as like I forget how that is calculated when it comes to say how many runs did he save or whatever the stat is that he was a really good defensive outfielder. But he's probably not going to hit that well. But if you have an outfielder and you can plant in center field, you move the Yasmanian Devil to right field only, and
Yeah.
then whatever maybe Austin Slater plays left, and you kind of manage that situation, and then you move Jock specifically to DH if they bring Jock back. The other story that's out there is the Giants going after and trading for someone who was in their system prior, who is Brian Reynolds from the Pirates. Like that's the other one, is like maybe we can get Brian Reynolds back. As far as alternatives to Aaron Judge, what do you think about those options?
I like that. Anytime you can take Yaz and stick him into right field and have him play 95% of the games in right field, it's great. You've got a fantastic right fielder in Yaz. The bat, I think, will come around again, especially with more protection in the lineup. If he doesn't have to hit leadoff all the time, if you can get a Brian Reynolds and you can put Ryan Reynolds in center field, again, another good defensive outfielder, and you can have him hit in front of Yaz and then some more power behind Yaz. I think Yaz's bat lights up again. So yeah, I mean, Nimmo, I like Nimmo. I'm just not sure. I don't know much about his track record. I just know that he is a good power option, a good alternative maybe to Judge. And here's my problem with the whole Judge chase too. Again, is if it goes into February, at some point, if you're the Giants, you've got to leave that.
Yeah.
There are so many holes to fill. You cannot be in the Judge chase, I'd say, past like the middle to late December. That would be a huge problem for the Giants if they just relied on, because then if you go all the way till February and you don't get them, now you're scrambling to take a 500 ball club and make them 5 games over 500 at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many holes to fill. So
So Brandon Nimmo is going to be a free agent for the first time this year. He will be 30 years old by I think he's either going to be really right at the end of his 29 year, or he'll be 30 by the time the season starts. And he had an on base percentage of 367. So he got on base, 433 slugging, good OPS. Batting average was 274. He did hit 16 jacks. He scored 104 runs. So he got on base enough for that really good Mets team. And he had a 5 WAR. But yeah, he's going to get paid. I don't know what that means. Is he $18 million player? Is he a $25 million player? With those numbers, he's going to be probably the top defensive free agent as far as outfield is concerned. So that's going to mean something. As for Brian Reynolds is probably going to still cost you a pretty prospect, because he's not a free agent until 2026. So you would have so you'd have RBers eligible 2024, 2025, and so 2 more after this year, because he's signed to a contract through 2023. So you'd still have 24 and 25. So if you trade for him, you got him for 3 more years before he becomes a free agent. So that means he's probably going to cost them prospect-wise more so than somebody who was a little bit closer to free agent status. And he had a manageable year. He had an okay year last year. Hit 262, 345 on base, 461 slugging, 27 jacks, 62 runs batted in, and 74 runs scored. So not great, but
in a Pirates lineup.
Yeah. And he also he is a younger player. So you have him. You're signing, if you're trading for Brian Reynolds, you are saying you're going to be with us. You are our future for the next 3 or 4 years, and before he becomes a free agent. So it's not that long ago where he was 11th in the MVP voting in the National League, only 2021, where he hit 24 jacks, hit 302. So that is only 1 year ago, and he was a really good rookie in 19. So the reps for him would say that he's going to give you some pretty good years. This was his best power year. Those are 2 options that are really good for the Giants if they don't get Judge. But I think the key is what you said, which is, how long is this red carpet going to be rolled out for Aaron Judge, and how far along do we go? Because maybe Nimmo wants to get signed quickly. Maybe that's maybe it's like, Mets, do you want me? If not, and so there's a timing aspect there. The Reynolds thing, I think, is kind of like we can wait on that a little bit, unless other teams have the same idea as the Giants, which is if we don't get this guy, then we go and try and make this trade. So that's actually really interesting.
And the Giants have enough money though to get Nimmo and Judge.
They do.
I mean, they really do. So you can sign Nimmo and then keep going after Judge. But then if Trey Turner all of a sudden says, I'm ready to sign now, and I like your offer, and then you get Turner and you have Nimmo, is that a good replacement for Judge? Yeah, probably. I mean, you've created much better defense, especially up the middle. Again, you sign Trey Turner. What do you do? Where do you play him? I mean, he's got to play second base, right? He can't play shortstop. We already have a shortstop. He can go back and forth with Crawford at shortstop. Crawford's never played anywhere else. And then if he plays, Trey Turner plays second base, then what do you do with Tyro Estrada? So, you play the DH game with that, and you kind of move guys around. But
I mean, Turner's going to get if he wants that 10-year deal, he's going to get a $300 million deal as well. So,
oh yeah,
I don't think Turner and Judge together is doable. But if you're trying to get Judge and you can't get him, you're just gonna you give Turner a little bit less. But he's gonna get he's probably not going to get the same kind of deal as Seager, because Seager is a little bit younger than him.
Yeah.
but he's going to get a big deal too. So yeah, all that stuff is fascinating. Before we just kind of give our previews or our predictions for the rest of this World Series, what are you drinking?
I went simple because I'm a simple man. I went with the Buffalo
There
Trace,
we go.
one of my favorite bourbons. I
Yeah.
cracked it open last night for Halloween while I was sitting outside in the, I don't know, God, what was it last night? Like 48 degrees outside. Um, Reno's cold.
Yeah.
So sitting out there with my gloves on, giving out candy. So I poured myself a follow-up slug today, and I still enjoy it today as much as I did yesterday.
Awesome. So for me, I mentioned last week that I had made the Mexican Mule.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was gonna do the Kentucky Mule. So I did. I took my Bundaberg Diet Ginger Beer,
There you
which
go.
was at Safeway. I didn't. I was at Safeway, which is why I got it, or else I was gonna go to the other store, Sprouts, to get the one that your wife suggested.
Oh, yeah.
And I got my bourbon, and I got my little tin here, and my little
Nice.
lemon juice, and I'm having a good time with this. The I was the wife and I are into the chilled white wines right now,
Yeah.
but we're trying to find the lower sugar ones, which they don't taste as fantastic, and they're sort of
Yeah.
a little bit more of a mass marketed kind of product. But I told her, I said, okay, it's November. My company is actually having a holiday party this year.
Oh, nice.
So it is December 10th, and all that extra wine, probably not great if I'm going to try and fit in a suit by December 10th. So the only drinks that I'm having for the month of November, no booze Vember, no
Uh,
whatever that is
yeah.
the ones that we're having here on this show. So I'm still gonna
Right.
have my bourbon or have my whiskey or whatever when I do a show at you, but I'm putting a hold on that white wine until after this holiday party. So
Yeah, we were just in Tahoe for the last week, middle of the week, and then over the Nevada Day holiday, and for our anniversary, and so we're hanging out. We went to Rayleigh's when we first got there in South Tahoe, next to Heavenly, and we went in there. And my wife bought a bottle of rosé, as
wow.
if it were July. The weather wasn't even that great. It was pretty chilly. We
Yeah.
did get in the hot tub at one point, and then we got out of the hot tub, and the wind hits you, and it's like, you know, 53 degrees, and you're going, oh my gosh. But yeah,
Nice.
gotta love the rosés.
For I didn't I would how they do the thing, or like I was today years old when I figured out X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like it was only like 2 years ago when I figured out rosé was just red wine and white wine, like, put together.
oh, really? All
Yeah.
right. Well, see,
Yeah, a couple years ago.
the scenes from an Italian restaurant song by Billy Joel, rosé has been in my vocabulary for many, many years since I was a kid. Well, of course, when I was a kid listening to that song, I don't know what the hell, bottle of red, bottle of white, bottle of rosé instead. I didn't know what any of that meant, but I think I figured out what rosé was sometime in the 80s because, my mom was rosé drinking housewife. That's what you
There you
do.
go. There you go. All right, last part of this show before we get out of here. Not that our prediction means anything. We weren't
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
every single Phillies game or every single Astros game. But based on what you've seen, we had the Kyle Tucker and JT Real Muto game for game one, where Tucker hits 2 bombs. They're going great. Verlander is like, I've been here before. Game one of the World Series. And he's just hanging breaking balls. I'm like, dude, throw your
Uh,
fastball. And he gives it right back. They're up 5-0. He gives it all back, and then they go into extra innings, and Real Muto, who had doubled earlier to score some runs, hits a home run in the 10th, and then they hold on. I didn't know if they were going to hold on or not. Jeez,
yeah.
that was rough. So they win game one, and really game two was like, okay, we got house money here. We just needed to split. We're good. And now we're in game three right now. And as of this viewing, what is the score of this game?
We've
It's still
got 4-0 Phils we're going to the top of the third, bottom of the third. Yeah, it's crazy. Remember last week, I think before the season or before the series even started, I said it's either going to be 4-0 Astros or 4-1 Astros. See, but I said the Phillies would be lucky to get one game. Now, I think the Astros are going to be lucky to get back home at this point.
Wow.
Because you're playing in front of these rabid fans in Philadelphia. I mean, these guys are going nuts and they hate the Astros. They're booing them every second they get.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If it goes back to Houston, I think Houston's going to be down. I think Houston's going to be down 3-2 if it goes back there.
Okay, here's my prediction. I say go 7. Game 6 and Game 7 is going to be fantastic on a Saturday night, Sunday night. It'll be good for baseball. Sunday night, they'll still get killed by Sunday Night Football. That's just the way that sports works.
Although,
right now.
who's playing on Sunday Night Football? That's the question. Because they may not get killed.
I don't know. I feel like it could be the Texans and the Carolina Panthers, and they'll still beat the baseball game.
I think we're getting the Texans on Thursday night.
Oh, there you go.
That's very fitting.
There you go.
We're getting, let's see, Sunday Night Football. We are getting the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. So a very, very good game.
Yeah,
so
get a little Pat Mahomes out there.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm going to say the Astros win Game 7, and Dusty gets his title. And I hate to use the word destiny because destiny. What destiny means is that he's going to screw it up in some way. So I'm not going to call it destiny. I think they're going to get
one. No, that wasn't him. That wasn't him.
Just still, yeah. But I think they're gonna win. I still think the Astros are gonna win. But I love Philly, the underdog in Philadelphia, the underdog city. Rocky Balboa, the underdog fighter. Yes. Like that just fits like that narrative. So I think Philly takes 2 out of 3 at home. Like you said, they go back up 3-2, and I think the Astros win the last 2 games and win the World Series. So that is my prediction. And I'm just as much as I love Bryce and I like the idea of the underdog, I still like Dusty just a little bit more.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And as Giants fans, we will always love Dusty. 2010, not even 12 and 14, 2010 erased 2002 almost like 90% erased it, 89% erased it. So and then 12 and 14 happened and we're like 2002, what are you talking about? Who cares? You can have it. Angels can have 2002.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's always that little part of me that would just love to see Dusty win it. There's an interview I was watching the other day before, I think it was before Game 1, where he said, I'm gonna win the World Series. I hope it's this year, but I'm gonna win it. And I was like, wow, that's pure Dusty right there. I'm gonna win the World Series.
That wasn't Dusty. You know who that was? That was Johnny Lee Baker right there.
That's right. Johnny Lee Baker has a little more a boost of confidence than Dusty. But yeah, I loved it when he said that.
I said Johnny Lee. It's actually Johnny B. I screwed that up. My bad.
Johnny B. Baker.
Johnny B. Baker.
Yeah. So I really hope he wins. If Philly wins, how insane is that going to be? The first year you have this new playoff format and the 6th seed gets in and wins the entire thing. I'm going to love that. As a baseball fan, I love that because again, if the Giants ever squeak in as a 6th seed, which they did as a wild card, in 2014 and won the whole dang thing. So that's what it's all about. You get in there and you play baseball. The better managers win. The better teams end up winning. And right now, that's what the Phillies are doing. They're just, taking it to the Astros.
All right, we're cutting it a little bit short here because I feel like we can do that when it's not when the Giants are done. We can kind of cut these shows a little bit short. But it was good stuff. We got to talk about Judge. We got to talk about the great Brandon Nimmo. We got to talk about Brian Reynolds, who we haven't thought about as a Giant in many years. Trey Turner, Johnny B. Baker. Good stuff here. Just quickly, if you can throw a quick review for the BSPN podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever, and give us a follow, the BSPN YouTube channel. BSPN, I think there are a couple different BSPNs in YouTube, but if you also search for Bay Area, you'll find the correct one, and give us a subscribe there. Growing this channel is really hard, by the way. So it's fun, but it's also very hard. So if we get more subscribers and more people will see our stuff, and I'm putting clips up of not only just the live streams, also just also like clips of other things. And if you're a 49ers and a Warriors fan too, there's good stuff there. I won't say too much more about Niners for Brad because I respect him too much. I don't want to seem sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be back.
Rough week, I'll tell you that.
It was rough. I agree. I was feeling for you. I was feeling for Rams fans in general, man.
Oh gosh. Crazy year.
But you got that ring.
That's right.
All right, we'll be back next week. Yeah. So for Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.